it started with me in 2020, just kind of reflecting. I had just walked away from Rowan, which was really hard.
Yeah.
And that came down to the joke is always lawyer up, you know?
Yeah. If someone can learn from an experience.
Lawyer up.
There you go.
And that's not to I mean, unfortunately, that's where we are in America, but you really just have to make sure someone's looking through your contracts really well.
Yep.
Because that was the rookie mistake of just, you know, signing on with the first people that wanted to give me money and not really thinking things through and not thinking about the long term of like how structured a business will be. And
yeah, you're excited. You're like, I just want to make my dream happen.
Yeah.
And then you see an opportunity and of course you jump on it. But
Yeah. So the decision to walk away was hard, but that was a really important moment for me because what it taught me was it gave me more strength to realize, oh, these people are in my corner. Like my community was in my corner. Sephora was in my corner. You know, I had just gotten into Sephora stores. So to back up, I launched Rowan on D2C. Again, had no idea what I was doing. Just I was really passionate about innovating this eyeshadow. So I was all in, just focusing on that. And then launched it. Sephora noticed, Ulta noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I got calls from both of them probably 3 weeks after launch. And I was like, oh, like, wow, okay. Like,
I know.
We'll
what do you see
meeting.
when you see a number and they're like, it's Sephora. Hi, it's Sephora. You're like, hi.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So met with both of them, felt like Sephora was a good fit. So by that June, July, we had launched on .com with Sephora. And then the plan was to go on Clean Beauty NCAP. It was right before the pandemic.
Wow.
So when I made the call to walk away, I called Sephora and I was like, I know this is weird. I can't really talk about it legally, but I'm exiting my brand.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, okay, well, if you're going, then we're going to take Rowan out of store and call us on the next thing that you work on. And I was like,
wow.
Oh, okay. They're like, well, it's you. Like, we believe in you. And so we just want to know, keep in touch.
Yeah. I literally got chills because that is like, imagine hearing that. You're going through such a hard time, which like you said, it's difficult. This is like your baby. You've put so much, we've heard about what you did up to that point to even like get to this point. You're walking away, and to hear that from a brand like Sephora is probably you're like, it gives you a little like wind beneath your wings.
Totally. I was like, oh, because at that point, you know, it's right when the pandemic was starting, you're kind of like, it was so hard. I was like, do I actually really want to do this again? And so I kind of took some time, and, you know, I know myself, like I'm so all in with beauty that it's not like I wouldn't, but it had to be the right thing. So again, it was just like, you know, of course, in the very beginning, I was like, I'm just going to make the same eyeshadows and put a new brand on it because that's my innovation. And, But then I was like, why? Like, that's lame. I can do something else. And so it came from a personal need of me being in my 30s and getting a lot of sunspots and having acne. And I was, you know, putting on blush one day and I was like, why is there not a brand that has a blush with a lot of SPF in it? Because this is like my problem area.
Cheeks.
Yes. This is where I need more coverage. And I was like, ding. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
And so I was like that. So then I started thinking about it and I started researching and I was like, there's really only maybe a very few derm brands. There's not really a high performance makeup brand. You've got like Supergoop, but that's not really technically color. Like, and so that's where I started. And then what I realized is why no one had done it is that it's really expensive.
You're like, and then the answer
it's
came.
really expensive and it's really hard to find chemists that can do color with SPF.
Yes.
They can do SPF, but not with color. And then to have the artistry performance standard on top of it, it's like a trifecta of most people just like, not for me. So it took a long time to find the right chemist. And then once I found the right chemist, then that's when things started to cook. So I actually, the first formulation and innovation that I did was the blush.
Okay.
And then from there, you know, then you start thinking about things and you're like, because I also had like a really aggressive list of making sure it was non-comedogenic, which is kind of a blanket statement, but I have worked really closely with my esthetician of like what specific ingredients, if you're acne prone, can clog your pores. Because that was a big aha moment for me. I dealt with acne for years. And it was in that time when I was like, I'm an influencer. I need to test every skincare product that lands on my desk. I need to use all this different makeup. And she'd always be like, okay, honey, when you're ready. When you're ready. And so finally one month I was just so frustrated and I was like, okay, Lynn, like, shout out Goddess Lynn Body and Skin in LA if you guys want to meet her.
I'm like writing it down. I'm like, okay.
And she was like, it was a moment of, this is the routine that you're going to use. It was a brand called Face Reality, which is a wonderful brand if you have acne. And she said, here's a list of all the things that you have to check in all of your products. If the ingredients in it, you need to throw it out. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to listen. And what happened was within a month, my skin cleared. And then it was kind of like you'd wake up every day and be like, this is fake. Like, this isn't going to last.
Is one going to spring up? Because you're like, it can't keep going. Yeah.
And it just kept going.
Wow.
And it just kept going. And so I was like, there is a real connection of what the ingredients are that we're putting on our skin beyond skincare, in makeup specifically, that if you are acne prone, it's going to break you out. So I made sure to take all of that out of my formulations as well. So, you know, but once I believe as a founder, but also just kind of being obsessed with beauty, I think my formulas are successful because I have a really tight relationship with all my chemists. And that's really important to me. And I didn't realize that that was weird because I would always go to have meetings with my contract manufacturers and I was like, I need to meet the chemists. And they're like, what do you mean? No one never talked. Like, I was like, no. This isn't going to work if I'm not sitting across from this chemist and we are having conversations. And so that's been a really big part of me creating products. Always, even with the previous brand as well. It was very much me, not literally in the lab because you can walk through it, but they usually go back, they work on things, they come back, they bring it to you, you talk, it's a back and forth. It's a long day. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I started on the formulas. And then, you know, I pitched it to Sephora. And that was a really nerve-wracking call because I had pitched a couple things along the way because before that, I was thinking like no pore cloggers brand, like Clear Beauty, but they're like, it's good, but like, what's the, you know? And so I was like, okay, go back. They're like, they're like, anything you make is amazing. We love the formula, but it's still kind of, and so then when I hit them with the SPF, they were like, white space, what do you want? Like,
wow,
how do you want to launch? You know, and it was kind of all in from there.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because again, they trust you, they know you, so you're taking their advice, or you're taking almost like, okay, what do I need to do? How do I make this work? Because to launch a brand and then to be in Sephora that soon after launch, you know, to have it be a part of your launch is like incredible. Because you're like, we're going to get this to the masses. We're going to be able to tell the story. And it's really nice for me too, because when I first bought it, it was that I'd seen it on social. Some of my favorite people had talked about it in such an amazing way. Truly, Charlotte Parler, like she's one. I was like, yes. Like the way that she talked about your products, I was like, this sounds incredible. And so the next time I was in Sephora, I saw it on the end cap and I was like, bloop, bloop. I was like, I'm going to pick two things. And I grabbed the tinted sunscreen. That's what it's called, tinted sunscreen, right?
Tint and Protect.
Tint and Protect, yes. And then I grabbed the bronzer stick because I was like, I could get one of everything, but I'm going to start with two things.
Well, you should have told me. I would have brought you more.
I mean, listen, I would love to support the brand, so don't get me wrong. So I grabbed it and I went home and I used the bronzer stick first, and it was like so wonderful. I had posted on social because I was like, I drew it straight on, and you could probably go in with the brush, you could do all the different things, but I drew it straight on and I blended it and it just stayed where I put it. And that was so interesting because I do have trouble with cream bronzers with it kind of spreading. Going everywhere. Creamy is nice, but sometimes it's too creamy and then it spreads and it doesn't stay in the place that I wanted to put it in. And I was so amazed with like the blendability, but also that it stayed where it was. So you're like, I did that. But I've never seen that. I've never felt that in the first application. And that was even just in the actual application of the product. Then you obviously throw the SPF piece on there, which was really great. It's like an added bonus. Like, you know, you're getting both. Are you hitting